eyeliner is a completely personal preference. Most people think that they want to do eyeliner and then they do it and they're like, I don't think I like that. That's totally fair enough, because actually eyeliner is not for everybody. And if you've got eyes kind of like me, where your mobile lid is pretty small, and when you're sort of looking forward, most of it kind of disappears, eyeliner on the top line is probably just not going to do all that much. In fact, it may actually work against you. If you're this way, then you might like to focus eyeliner on the bottom lash line and smoke that out instead. And that's going to look really good. If you have a lot of gap between your like lashes and your hood or your crease, if you've got a good wide mobile lid, like a nice round eye, then to close that gap over with a bit of eyeliner is going to look really good on you. So in any case, when we're at that kind of beginner stage, using a brush is always going to be a better option. Also, an eyeliner pencil is going to create quite a strong line, which as we get older, the stronger the line, the more it actually ages us. We want something a little bit more shadowy. So your angle brush, which is your kind of like triangle little brush there, and some eyeshadow is actually going to do the trick for us. You can also, if you're really inclined to love pencil, you can take the side of your brush onto the pencil and use it that way. That's a really good, again, beginner friendly way to do it. And in any case, if you do use your eyeliner pencil, it's always a good idea to shade it out and make it a little bit more, like less of a strong line with your eyeliner brush as well. So there's many ways to go about this. For the purpose of applying eyeliner on your bottom lash line, we're going to use an eyeshadow. You're going to bring your angle brush into your darkest color that you used on your outer third, and you're basically going to balance it on your bottom lash line. You're going to start on the outer third and you're going to work your way to the middle. For most people, you're going to stop somewhere along there. The smaller your eyes, the sooner you need to stop. So if you've got really big round eyes, you could go all the way across. If you don't, you want to stop somewhere shy of that. For me, I like to stop at the outer third, just a little bit towards the middle. And I find that most people can carry that pretty all right. So we've got our color on our brush. We need to look up in order to stretch, right? So ideally, if I was doing your makeup, I would have you looking up and I'd just get up and in there, but obviously you can't see, right? So you're gonna bring your mirror up so that you can, like, you're not bringing your head, remember, because you want to stretch the eye up. So you want to be able to see yourself, but you want to literally be looking upwards at yourself so that that bottom line is really, really stretched. Your longest part of your angle brush is on the outside of your eye, and that means that that brush is going to perfectly line up against your lashes. See how I'm coming up underneath? I'm not coming at myself. That is a really big key of how to do this really well. And you're coming up underneath your lashes and you're aiming for the part of the eye where the lash literally grows out of the skin. That is the lash line, and that is how close you need to get this. So I'm not going in trying to create a line. I'm going in with feather-like strokes. It's almost like connecting the dots, going along that lash line and doing little feather-like strokes so it's feathering on in a shaded, shadowed way. Can you see how that's just created balance and framed around the outside of the eye? That is a look that'll go well on most people. If you are super duper self-conscious about this part of your eye, if you're super self-conscious about the fact that you've got lines and crepiness around the eye, do not do anything under the eye, because what's going to happen is it's going to draw your own eye to your insecurity. I'm not saying that everybody else is going to see your lines because you've got eyeliner on underneath your eye. But what I'm saying is, if you're inclined to be looking to this and thinking, oh, I'm so crepey and liney, by putting this there, you're literally drawing your eye down your face into the area where you're self-conscious. So keep the eyeshadow high and don't come underneath the eye. But you can see the difference that that's made. We've got a nice, fresh, clean eye on this side, And then we've got a more framed, getting a bit more smoky kind of an eye on the other side. So we're going to balance it up. The tips of the bristles go into the pan, tap off. Mirror comes above our head so that we're looking directly up at ourselves. The longest bristles are on the outside so that the line is lining up perfectly along the lash line in that nice straight line, and it just makes it really easy to keep it nice and balanced and nice and close. And you're feathering it across from the outside, working on the outer third toward the middle and never going further than the middle unless you've got really big round eyes, and then you can go all the way across. And you can keep adding more until it's at a point where you are feeling really happy with that level. Some days I'll go heavier and some days this is where I'll keep it.
All right, let's have a look at how this works with the pencil. So using the brush just to pick up the product off the side of the pencil, and then in the same way that I applied the shadow, I'm going to feather the product on so that it's going on nice and shaded. You could actually use this as a base. So if you wanted a very intense eyeliner look, like a very dark, deep, intense look, you would do this first to create a waxy base and then put your eyeshadow straight over the top. That's a good way of getting like a really strong eyeliner. Now let's have a look at how it works on the other side. We could apply directly down with the brush, with the pencil. And what you're going to notice is how strong that line goes on. So a lot of product is going on in a really strong kind of concentrated way. Can you see the difference? It can actually look kind of rigid is the word I want to use, but this actually looks very aging around the eye. It's a very outdated technique, which firstly will make it look aging, but it's not very flattering on the eye. And so what I'm doing is now using the brush to soften that all down to make it less of an intense line. It's very strong, so if you want a strong line, this is a great way to get a strong line, but the rigidness of that line actually created like just a really unflattering line around the eye. Okay, so that's lining the lash line. Now I'm going to line the waterline. This is a technique that is going to make your eye line look much more intense, a little bit sultry, and it actually closes your eye in a little bit as well. The key here though to make this technique really work is to make sure that if you're going to line the waterline, you must also line the lash line. To smoke it out actually makes it a complete look, but to do the waterline by itself makes your eye look very, very small.
And you can also do this same step on the top lash line. So we've got the dipping in, top lash line, same thing, just starting from the outside and working from the outer third on the way in towards the middle. You're going to notice this step more if you've got more space in that mobile lid. You might not notice it as much if you've got less space, and that's when you might omit this step. You might even decide to change into like a black or something a little bit darker just for this really small part of the eye. That is perfectly okay as well. It's up to you where your journey takes you.
Let's give that some close-up attention. So you're going to be pressing it to the lash line. Keep it really close. The closer you can keep it, the better it's going to look. If you go up too high, you're going to start to change the whole makeup look and you're actually going to close your eyes up. You want to keep them nice and open. So as close to the lash line as you can get. And here is the example with the pencil. Obviously, go straight off the pencil onto the brush and use the brush, or you can place it down using the pencil and then use the brush to smoke it out. And then you can again intensify the look by locking it in with some eyeshadow as well. So you could put some eyeshadow on the brush to also lock that in and make that an even more intense color.